Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to our beautiful city, Dubrovnik, the city of history and culture. I wish you a warm welcome and hope you have a great week here and spend some lovely time in our beautiful city. Dubrovnik will become a center of animal science during this week. So on the behalf of Croatian National Organizing Committee, words of welcome will address the President, Mr. Zdravko Barac. Mr. Barac, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome in Dubrovnik in Croatia. Dear colleagues, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Tolusic, Mayor of Dubrovnik City, Prefect of Dubrovnik County, President of EAAP, and Secretary General. On behalf of the Croatian National Organizing Committee, I am delighted to welcome you to the 69th Annual Meeting of the European Federation of Animal Science. This is the second EAAP Annual Meeting held in Croatia. The 32nd EAAP Annual Meeting was held in 1981 in Zagreb, capital of Croatia. And this, the 69th, we are having this week in Dubrovnik, the city of culture, science, history, beauty, tourism, and peace. The 69th Annual Meeting of the EAAP is jointly organized by the Ministry of Agriculture of the Republic of Croatia and Croatian Agricultural Agency in cooperation with Faculty of Agriculture, University of Zagreb, Faculty of Agriculture, University Josip Juraj Strossmayer from Osijek, Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, University of Zagreb, University of Zadar, Agricultural Advisory Service, and Croatian Chamber of Agriculture. The conference is organized under patronage of Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Agriculture, Mr. Tomislav Tolusic. Over 1,250 animal scientists and professionals from Europe and from many non-European countries have registered for the current annual meeting. Participants have at their disposal meeting and other facilities of the Valamar Resort to host over 70 scientific events, theater and the poster sessions, workshops, meetings, symposia, and a number of social events. In addition, we have organized field study tours and an attractive program for accompanying persons. I hope that many of you would use this opportunity to stay for a few additional next days in this unique place. And finally, on behalf of Croatian National Organizing Committee, I would like to thank all those who have participated in the organization of this meeting, and especially I would like to thank for the excellent cooperation to President of EAAP, Mr. Matthias Gauly, to Secretary General Andrea Rosati, and of course to all employees in EAAP Secretariat. And indeed, finally, I wish a fruitful work and a pleasant stay in Croatia. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Barac. And now please welcome the Mayor of the city of Dubrovnik, Mr. Mato Frankovic.
Dear Minister, dear County Prefect, dear noble guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to welcome you here in Dubrovnik, Pearl of Adriatic. I do hope that you will have a time to visit our town, to see all the beauties of the rich history that we have over here in Dubrovnik. This used to be a small city republic that lasts for many, many years, not because of a strong army, but because of diplomacy and knowing how to be in good relations with very strong countries, with very strong armies. So I do believe that even now in the World Heritage, people cherish Dubrovnik as a homeland of diplomacy. I think there is no better place to have scientific conference than Dubrovnik is, because Dubrovnik is also a hometown for many scientists that were born here and that work here through many years. We have one of the oldest pharmacies in the world, more than 800 years old, that works even now, and that never stopped work from the time it's been opened. Also, the oldest sewage system in the world exists in Dubrovnik and works even now perfectly, as well as one of the first water systems in the world that even now works perfectly. So this is the best place to come. Please do enjoy your time here in visiting all the beautiful places. Of course, to do work as well and promote a bit of science, but on another side, visit our town, visit our city's walls. Probably most of you heard that Game of Thrones was filmed in Dubrovnik, but Dubrovnik was well known before the Game of Thrones. So enjoy your time, and thank you for choosing Dubrovnik as your destination. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Frankovic. And now I'm calling Mr. Nikola Dobroslavic. He is the governor of Dubrovnik-Neretva County. Mr. Dobroslavic, the floor is yours.
Mr. Vice President of the Croatian government and Minister of Agriculture, Mayor, Director of Agricultural Agency, President of the Federation, dear participants, I'm very thankful that the organizer chose Dubrovnik and Dubrovnik-Neretva region as the venue of this annual meeting, annual conference. I'm quite confident that you will have all best conditions for your work, and I'm sure you will get new experiences, exchange of views, which will be benefit to all of you. I will express one critical point on agriculture, as I am the member of European Committee of the Regions and the rapporteur on the multi-annual financial framework post-2020. Unfortunately, in the proposal of European Commission, there are severe cuts for agricultural policy, likewise for cohesion policy, which is not good, which is not acceptable, which is not good for traditional politics, traditional added values which those politics, both cohesion and common agricultural policy, brings to all Europeans. We shall, in our opinion, strongly oppose this proposal and hopefully, with the help of all others, achieve a better position for agriculture, which is so important for all of us. Thank you for your being here. I'm quite sure, and I wish you will have enjoyable stay, fruitful work, and I hope to see you again in Dubrovnik, in Dubrovnik-Neretva region again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dobroslavic. And finally, Mr. Tomislav Tolusic, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Agriculture. Mr. Tolusic, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear mayor, dear county prefect, dear president of federation, dear organizers, dear Zdravko, dear participants at the 69th annual meeting of the Federation European Animal Scientists, dear friends, it is my great pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the government of Croatia, our Prime Minister, Mr. Andrej Plenković, and the Minister of Agriculture, the official institutional member of EAAP and the host of this annual meeting. Croatia, as you probably know, is a small country located in the Pannonian Plain, the Alps, and the Adriatic Sea, and has become an independent state 3 decades ago. The independence, as the realization of dreams and desires of generations of Croatian people, opened new opportunities for social and economic development and the affirmation at the international level. The attainment of our interests and objectives in foreign policy and international cooperation is realized through our membership in the UN, NATO, and the European Union. As a member of the European Union, we participate in the creation and in the implementation of policies in all fields of the common interest and the EU competence, including the common agricultural policy. And the implementation of common agricultural policy is the key instrument in attaining our agricultural and rural development policy objectives, primarily the stabilization and further improvements of agricultural production as the base of livelihood of farmers and the rural dwellers, and for meeting consumers' demand for quality and safe food produced by methods which protect the environment for the use by future generations. Agricultural sciences, including animal science, are expected to provide not only new improved technologies, but also solutions for a number of issues such as relations between traditional and high input production systems and the guidance on how to reconcile high demand for animal products and limited natural resources for production. I wish you all a good stay in Croatia and success in your work. Work hard and enjoy hospitality of our local organizers from Dubrovnik, a city which is historical light tower of freedom, entrepreneurship, and independence. Thank you all and enjoy in Dubrovnik and Croatia.
Thank you, Mr. Tolusic, for your kind words and for your support in organizing this event for the benefit of European and Croatian animal science. It is my pleasure now to welcome the President of the European Federation of Animal Science, Mr. Matthias Gauly.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here and to welcome you all, and first of all to thank you here, Mr. Mayor, Governor, and Minister, to be here. It's a great honor for us, and it certainly underlines the importance of agriculture for this region, and therefore we're really happy to see you here. I also want to thank, maybe we should clap the hands for that. Thank you. I also would like to thank already at that stage the President of the Organizing Committee of Croatia, Zdravko. And I want to include in this thank Maria Speer. I'm not sure if she's here already. She's busy. She's here. Maria, stand up. Thank you very much to you, Zdravko, and your team, and especially the students with the pink shirts. They're really looking good and they do an exceptional job. Thank you very much. Who is in charge of the slides? Okay, I will give you a hard time. Next, I will start with the baby, which was born 10 years ago. It's now, we can say, a teenager. It is grown also because of the work of many people like Nigel Skoll and of course Isabel. She is doing an exceptional job. If I raise the left hand, you move forward. Thanks. So it's in partnership done, as you can see, with the British Society of Animal Science, EAAP, and last not least, of course, with INRA. I like that. We reached a very nice impact factor, as you can see, so we're one of the top journals. If you're not a native speaker, there's a difference between animal and the plural. So animal is the original, and animal is what you should go for. So I try to motivate you very well. Don't get confused by plurals, go for animal. We also have other journals and possibilities to publish, for example, symposia, conferences. If you go to our homepage, you will find all the information. So I stimulate you very much. I thank all the people which are submitting articles to Animal. I thank all the people reviewing these articles, and brought us forward. Coming to Dubrovnik, I will give you some basic information. What you can see, it is a success already because of the work of the local organizers. More than 1,200 participants. We received 1,144 abstracts. Some of them will be orals, others will be posters. And they will be presented in 71 indoor sessions. We have an outdoor session as well, and this outdoor session is a hard competition, as you have probably noticed already. So the outdoor session is there. So this competition is hard, as the mayor said already. You should also enjoy Croatia a bit, but we want to have you also here indoor. So what I'm asking you for is have a look at your neighbor to the right and to the left. Do it now. I can see you not doing it. Look, look. Is this good? And you may have seen different pictures. Okay. So after 5 days, this could be the situation. If your neighbor looks like this after 5 days, we call this one a good scientist. You may face a different situation after 5 days. You will call this scientist a smart scientist. So this is things. So we're moving forward to the most important thing of the evening, giving away our awards. Before I do so, I want to thank the sponsors. Before the awards, the sponsors are coming. We have a couple of sponsors, as you can see. You find them in the book, and we are very thankful to the sponsors, because without sponsors, this event would be very, very different. Thanks a lot to the sponsors. You have the time to look at them in detail. So now we go really to the awards, and the first award is the so-called Leroy Award. If the one who is presenting this award is Mike Coffey, is actually the vice president of EAAP, if he's talking about the Leroy Award, don't get confused. This is how the English-speaking people pronouncing this award. It is given away by Mike. Please come up to the stage. Thank you.
I'm afraid I need my glasses for this. Nearly took my eye out with that one. So the AM Leroy Award, thank you, is made to somebody that the scientific committee established as an outstanding scientist, having made contribution to animal production over a sustained period of time. So I looked on the EAAP website and see who else has won this, and it's a very impressive list. So the winner is enjoying some illustrious company. This person is a very obvious candidate and worthy winner. She has Professor Imke de Boer. She started in 1984 and got her PhD in animal breeding and genetics on the use of clones in dairying in 1990. She was made a full professor of Animal Production Systems in 2011 in the Department of Animal Production Systems at Wageningen University and Research. So I had a little look at the kind of work that Imke is currently engaging in, and it's mostly on, in a sense, if I can summarize it like this, currently on the use of animal use of efficient resources, resource use efficiency essentially. And on the website, she says that in the future, the emphasis should be placed rather on the longevity of the animal than on its efficiency, which kind of makes sense to me, because living a long and inefficient life is not particularly ideal, and I can subscribe to that. So the complexity of sustainable animal production systems kind of lies mostly in the whole system level rather than the individual animal. And I think this is an area of emerging interest for a lot of us, particularly in the way that the world is going. I had a look at the publications, and indeed Imke is very, very efficient herself, having published at least 17 papers so far in 2018. So something that we should all subscribe to. And that area of work is in pigs, fish, dairy, grazing animals in developing countries, land reform, benchmarking, and the use of water and consumer interest. And her work spans the globe as well, from Africa to Ireland, from Brazil to Indonesia. So truly a wide-ranging research area of interest, and contributed a huge amount of work in a large body of work to the scientific community. So it's great pleasure for me to announce that this year's winner of the Leroy Award is Professor Imke de Boer. And if you could come up here, I can give you your goodies. Okay, and you get to keep that one.
Okay.
And we want that one back tomorrow.
Tomorrow? All
Yeah,
right.
okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Dear all, I'm deeply honored to receive this Leroy or Leroy Award. To be recognized by my peers for work as important as sustainable animal production and responsible production of consumption is really very, very special to me. And I would like to thank my group, and actually it was due to Aart, one of my postdocs, that I'm here, because actually I was a smart scientist already, but he noticed that the ceremony was right now, so I'm happy. I want to thank my group, my family, but also all of you, because you all inspired me to keep on thinking and improving my work. The best thing of receiving this award, in my opinion, is the fact that I get tomorrow the opportunity to present in the plenary session at 12 o'clock to you what I have been thinking of. Do animals play a role in future food systems? So please join me tomorrow at 12 o'clock, and I will do my utmost best to give you a presentation you hopefully enjoy. Thank you very, very much for this award.
We're going to give away important awards, the so-called Distinguished Service Awards, which are dedicated to persons which had a high impact on our society, on our organization, on the EAP. And we want to start with George Zervas. He looks a bit serious on this picture. Normally he's not, and it will be given away by Antonella.
Good evening. It's an honor for me to introduce Professor George Zervas and to have the occasion, on the behalf of our community, to give this Distinguished Service Award. George Zervas is a professor in ruminant nutrition and head of the Nutritional Physiology and Feeding Department at the Agricultural University of Athens, Greece. After his graduation in animal production science in 1974, sorry, I said the year, but of course you are not a lady, so we can do it. And he took his PhD degree from the Department of Animal Physiology and Nutrition of Leeds University in UK. His doctoral thesis produced also a very important patent from a nutritional point of view, since he patented glass boluses carrying trace elements which are very important for preventing carency of these nutrients in ruminants. And I have to say that I've personally used it during a project in Africa. Therefore, I could appreciate this kind of patent even before knowing you, George. Afterwards, focusing initially on trace elements. Afterwards, George research was undertaken on dietary evaluation of different agro-industrial byproducts fed to ruminant animals of different farming and feeding systems, and their effects on feed efficiency and an environmental issue. His current research is mostly on dietary supplementation of sheep and goats with the raw material of high bioactive compounds content, with the objective to enrich the animal origin products with healthy compounds for human consumption. George leads the sheep and goat nutrition research team at University of Athens, getting grants from EU, the Ministry of Rural Development and Food, and the private sector. He lectures to under- and postgraduate students, for which he has written 3 textbooks on ruminant physiology and nutrition, and has published more than 150 papers on peer-reviewed journals and proceedings of international conferences. He served the Agricultural University of Athens as elected rector for 6 years, from 2004 to 2010, and the Hellenic Society of Animal Production as a secretary and as president since 2008. He is also vice president of the Hellenic Agriculture Academy. But to our Society of Animal Scientists of the EAAP, it's quite important also to say that George serviced excellently to our community, and he started over the years, starting in 2002, his service, and he was vice president of the Livestock Farming Systems Commission for the 2003 to 2006. Over the year, he was also secretary of the Nutrition Commission before, in the 2002 and 2004, president of the LF's Commission, 2007 and 2008, a member of the Council and Vice President of the EAP from 2008 to 2012, and is still auditor since 2012. So his service was really excellent, and if I can say something, a few words on a more personal side, I have to say that, of course, George is an excellent scientist, an excellent academic, but I know since many years as an excellent person. So I am really glad and happy to give to George this, sorry, come. I don't have. Okay, we got it. These hours on the behalf of European
Dear all, it's a great honor for me to get this award from EAAP, and particularly I would like to thank the President, the Secretary General, and the Council members for proposing and their decision to give me this award. I first participated at the EAAP meeting in 1984, and since then I missed only 3 meetings for various reasons. I would say that all these years participating at the EAAP meeting, it was a very good experience, and I had the opportunity to meet and to speak to very important scientists, to meet also very interesting people from various countries and different cultures, and the most important for me, to make very good friends all this time, who is, I think, is the best investment for humans' life. Next Friday, I have to retire due to my age, after 40 years serving and being in the university, but I hope that I will be able the next 2 years to participate at the EAAP meetings. After all, I think taking part to these EAAP meetings, it was a long, exciting, interesting, and a very enjoyable journey, which if I had that chance, I would do it again and again. Thank you very much.
The next award will be presented by Cled, and it goes to Phil. And Phil has taught more than 50 students just this Sunday how to publish in Animal. This is true, Phil. Thank you very much. Cled, please.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to propose and to support this award, a Distinguished Service Award to Professor Phil Garnsworthy. Now, Phil grew up on a small farm in the southwest of England and then moved to university in Aberdeen in Scotland. You can see that's about the furthest distance in the UK that you can actually achieve. And he studied his PhD there and went on to do I think a groundbreaking study in his PhD on the effect of the condition of the cow and the management of the cow during the dry period on its subsequent performance. And this, in fact, has led to a whole field of science where we now have whole conferences on the management of the dry cow and subsequent performance. He then moved to an appointment as a lecturer in animal production at the University of Nottingham, and most recently he's been awarded a full chair as a professor and head of animal science and professor of dairy science at the University of Nottingham. During his career, Phil has made significant contributions to knowledge of livestock production and animal nutrition. And areas of note include synchronization of rumen energy and nitrogen supply, by hydrogenation of fatty acids, and in general fatty acid metabolism in dairy cows. Most recently, I've had the pleasure of working with him in a major project which was called Rumenomics, and there Phil developed large-scale measurements of methane from individual cows on dairy farms, and most recently he's been studying the relationships between the animal genome, the rumen microbiome, feed efficiency, and methane production. He also leads a research partnership between Nottingham University and the Agriculture and Horticulture Development Board in the UK, with particular emphasis on whole farm feed efficiency. Now, at the same time, you think that Phil probably hasn't had time to do anything else. He's in fact supervised more than 30 postgraduate students and has published more than 250 scientific papers. Now, I think most of us know Phil in terms of his activities at EAAP, and his first attendance at EAAP was in 1983, and I think you've only missed 2 meetings since then. Now, I think the greatest contribution that Phil has made to EAAP, and this is jointly with his team of Brigitte and Michael Grossman, is in the workshops that he has organized on terms of writing and presenting scientific papers. Now, most of you, like me, who've been coming to EAAP for a long time can remember the situation in the 80s and the 90s where the normal presentation was to put on acetate sheets your 10 pages of manuscript and then point at the board and say, as you can see, which of course people couldn't see because the numbers were so small. Now contrast that with the kind of presentations that we now get at EAAP meetings, which are clear, concise, and that's both in terms of theatre and in terms of posters. And this is entirely due, I think, to Phil Garnsworthy's contribution together with Brigitte and Michael. So Phil, I'd really like to thank you for all your contribution to EAAP, and it's a well-deserved person for a Distinguished Service Award. Phil, can you come up here? You can tell from the colour of Phil and myself that we can be classed as smart scientists. Okay, Phil, congratulations.
Thank you. There's one over there as well. Okay. Thanks very much, Cled. You can tell I'm more used to public appearance than Cled is, because you've got to know where the cameras are to pose. First of all, I'd like to say how honoured I am to be receive this Distinguished Service Award from the Society. It's been a great pleasure coming to EAAP conferences since 1983, I think you said. I've met a great many friends. Every year I meet a new bunch of friends. And running the workshops is another good way of meeting new people. We have between 20 and 50 people every year. And we worked out that we've taught a couple of thousand people over the past 22 years. So it's been a great pleasure coming along, and hopefully I'll still keep coming for many years because I'm not retiring yet like George is. I'd like to thank all my colleagues who helped me with my research, and obviously I'd like to thank Birgitta Manfors and Michael Grossman for their help with the workshops, and I'd like to thank the EAAP for the continuing support of the workshop. Thank you very much.
The third award is going away to a lady which had a really high impact on EAAP. Her name is written on the right side. Everyone who is a bit older than 30 years will certainly remember her, dealing with her, sending emails forward, backwards. Valerie, you was born in Paris, and I was very much impressed by the fact that you lived in most of the European countries, and you survived. Starting in the UK, you survived. Being even in the US, you survived. And finally in Italy, you lived for very long, and you survived. You're still sitting here. You joined EAP 91, if I'm right, 91, and it's written down here that you survived 5 presidents and 3 general secretaries. This is not why she is receiving the award. She was dealing with 20 annual meetings, and even after your retirement, you served us and supported us for at least 3 another years. Not only us, not only EAP, also ICA, also WAAP. So you would say, well, she got a payment for that. This is true. But what she did and how she handled her position went far behind her normal duties. It was done with heart, it was done with love, and therefore you have been the soul of the EAP for very long, and this is why we want to honor you. Thank you very much, Valerie.
I must say it was really a great privilege to work for EAP. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Secretary General, and thank you for the Council.
We have a 4th one because this gentleman couldn't make it last year, so it goes back to 2017 to Philippe Chemineau, and it will be presented by Johan.
Dear audience, it's a great pleasure to me to say some words of honor to my friend Philippe, which I learned to know during my 4 years as council member. So Philippe has been president of EAP, and we know that he enjoyed very much this position, but not as much as we enjoyed to have him on the top of our organization. He left with the impression that these 4 years, when the Federation has changed a lot, have passed too quickly. Already acting as EAP representative in the Animal Management Board, he is still very active to contribute to the progress of the journal, of which he was one of the founders about 15 years ago. Actually, in INRA, he is head of the regional policy, higher education, and Europe. Before this position, he headed a new INRA delegation working on collective scientific expertise, advanced studies, and foresight, in order to provide solid scientific and pluridisciplinary basis to public policy decisions and to give civil society elements of reflection on major subjects in the areas of food, agriculture, and environment. Before being affected in Paris, he directed the INRA Animal Physiology and Livestock System Division, one of the 30 national INRA divisions, and he headed this division, which has about 900 permanent staff, for 9 years. This was also a very nice but heavy experience visiting the different labs around France to discuss with the best INRA scientists about their results and projects in physiology, behavior, nutrition, meat and milk production, and livestock systems in all farm animal species. This period has been very exciting for science, but rather difficult for being present among his 4 children and his wife, who developed much patience and comprehension. Before this nice period, he worked in Nouzilly, a big INRA center near Tours, where he headed the research unit INRA CNRS, National Studs University of Tours, Reproductive Physiology and Behavior, in which he was also heading a group working on sexual neuroendocrinology, and his main domain of interest during these years in Nouzilly was the seasonality of reproduction in goats and sheep, a very intriguing phenomenon which combines endogenous circadian rhythm of sexual activity with photoperiodic driving of this rhythm, with melatonin to better fit the animal breeding season to the external cues and resources. Very concerned with innovations, his group developed useful light treatments which are now extensively applied in farms and artificial insemination centers to control seasonality of kiddings and lambings and to improve genetic progress. This was also an extremely exciting period, at the same time exploring very basic neurobiological mechanisms, controlling reproductive activity, and developing innovations which may be useful for farmers with whom he developed fruitful and friendly collaborations near Tours. And before Nouzilly, at the very beginning of his career, a very long time ago, after being engineer, agronome, then PhD, he worked in the French West Indies to describe reproductive characteristics of local breeds of sheep and goats and explore sustainable and cheap techniques for their reproductive control. A lot of results on the male effect were obtained there and published in scientific journals. Working in these small islands was a real pleasure because he has been able to also combine science with sea and sun and also a little bit rums. So, Philippe, congratulations, and I ask you to come to the floor here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Johan. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And many thanks for the EAAP Council for giving me this award. Johan told you that this was a real pleasure to be president of EAAP for these 4 years, because try to stimulate the European and beyond network community of animal scientists and to get results like we have here in Dubrovnik or in the preceding years with a so good quality of science is really a reward for me. But the present success of EAP is, of course, not only the result of a single person. This is, first of all, the result of your commitment, of you participants of these meetings, because you bring excellent scientific quality to these annual meetings. And EAP is your association, is your federation, and you should continue to be very active in the fruitful propositions of good science. This is secondly due to the commitment of all presidents and members of scientific commissions and working groups. Without your involvement, president and members of this commission and working groups, the sessions and selection of abstract will not be as good as it is at the moment. And this is thirdly due to the EAP office in Rome, and to the local organizers of all these annual meetings, like here in Dubrovnik, like Zdravko, with whom we start this preparation a long time ago, and which gives the success of these annual meetings all across Europe. So this award is not for me, but it is for you, all of you, and it is a reward for me for the pleasure that I have to be president of such a group for these 4 years. So thank you very much, and best wishes for the future of EAP. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Philippe. I can add it was a real pleasure to work with you, and if I got you right, you invited everyone for a drink tonight. It was something like this. We continue. We just have 2 or 3 more awards, and a very important award for us is the Young Scientist Award. We give it away for the 3rd time to an outstanding young scientist, and this year it goes to Spain, and it will be presented from someone from Spain. Isabel, please.
So thanks very much. As Matthias just said, in 2016, the EAP decided to establish an award to recognize the work of scientists in the earlier stages of their career. The candidates should have an outstanding scientific career and be involved in one of the many activities developed by the EAP. So this year, in this 3rd edition, we received many very good CVs. And after careful deliberation, we are very proud to give the 2018 Young Scientist Award to Isabel Cervantes, who matched perfectly the requirements I just mentioned before. She is a professor at the Complutense University in Madrid, specialized in the field of population genetics. She has, of course, an outstanding scientific career because she has published more than 50 scientific papers in peer-reviewed journals. She has been involved in EAP activities for already 12 years. She has contributed our annual meetings with more than 60 papers, some of them even awarded with the best poster presentations. So you can see that she has been really active in EAP. In fact, she is currently the secretary of the Hort Commission, so you will agree that with me that it's a very deserved award. So, Isabel, we have 2, it looks like 2 prizes for you here, but in fact it's only 1. This one we shouldn't get very fond of, because you have to give it back tomorrow. It's a board with, oh, it's upside down, sorry. It's a board with the names of the former recipients of the Young Scientist Award that will hang from next week on at the EAP Secretariat in Rome. And this one you can... Here. This one is for you, and you can proudly keep it. So congratulations, Isabel.
Thank you very much for the EAP Council for giving me this award. It's really an honor. Also, I want to congratulate them for organizing this Congress every year that I have attended since 2006. This award would not be possible without the help of my mentors, my colleagues, and of course my family. I want to thank to all of them, especially to my mom and dad. And finally, I want to encourage young researchers to be brave, to learn, to innovate, to transfer the knowledge to the animal science industry, and to look for collaborations in the international area to share our knowledge beyond our borders. Thank you very much.
It's coming to the end, and the scientists which are awarded becoming younger and younger. And we're giving away 2 awards. The first one is given away by the Schaumann Foundation. Thank you very much. It is dedicated to a German student, as you can see, with a unusual German name. Figure out how to spell it. Where is she? Is she here? Come up here for the picture. You stay here. The next one is given away. The next one is giving away, as you can see, by Wageningen, by Mark Jacobs. We are very thankful for this support. Unfortunately, the student will be selected during the session 43, but you could stand up so that we can thank you for this award. Thanks, Mike. The next award will be handed over by the president of the American Society of Dairy Science, if you come over, Chapdal. And it is dedicated to a student, and she gave obviously an exceptional talk during a session dedicated to dairy. And it's written correctly here. It's Ruth Davies from Denmark. Please come up here. So Ruth is going to the US to the next meeting next year, which will be in Cincinnati.
Correct.
Correct. She will go to Cincinnati, and the winner of the Wageningen Award will go to the EAP, the next EAP meeting in Ghent, to support Sam and his team. And I congratulate you very much. Can you take a picture? Perfect. So finally, we have been really happy that we could. We could give scholarships away, and all the names are mentioned on the next slide. So we have, in case you are here and you're not smart scientists, if you're good scientists, you should be here, and you will receive this right after this little presentation. If I'm right, we are through the procedure. There is one thing, General Secretary, you're not sleeping, but you wanted to remind me about something. Are you ready? Does this mean yes? Yes. What should I say? You know that we are producing a newsletter regularly, and the newsletter now is available somehow. And you will do this now. It does not work.
It works perfectly, like everything.
It worked? So you should have received it now. So read it regularly, and should also stimulate it whenever you have something to announce. A symposium, a conference, an open position, use the newsletter of the EAP, become member, of course, of the EAP, and use this. Thank you very much for your attention. I hand over to the organizers. I wish you a nice and good, fruitful conference, and be smart scientists. Thank you very much.